Come on, girl. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Go. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia, and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space in my backyard. Today, me and Puppy, who's now running away from me, is gonna do a garden tour. So the garden tour should have been posted yesterday. It rained yesterday. I also had a 3-hour meeting yesterday. My daughter had to go to the doctor yesterday. She's not feeling well. And so I went, had a drink, and had an appetizer, and then it poured down raining. And so today we have the garden tour. I'll tell y'all something as I get myself set up. I was like, you know, people come out and they get dressed, because I watch people do garden tours. Like, they get dressed, they put on dresses, or they put on like these really nice outfits, and they do their garden tours. And I thought about that today. And it was like, they don't want to. So I didn't. But what I am wearing is a pair of the shorts that someone sent to me, because I am really, really enjoying them. I did put on some nice shoes for y'all. So let's go ahead and get into the garden tour. So really quick before we get started, this is actually the end of the video, but I'm gonna post it towards the front of the video. I wanted to say thank you to the person who sent me more canning jars. I did not have a card or anything with it. I also got something else, but I said thank you in the video that's gonna post Saturday. So if you sent me something else, you know who you are, because there was no card with that one either. But I appreciate you sending those things to me. I was telling my kids, I was like, my YouTube subscribers are spoiling me. Like, I never expected this. And so every time I get something in the mail, I'm just as excited as the first time that I got something. So thank you all for making me feel kind of special. My daughter in her Spider-Man costume. She's not feeling well, but she's feeling well enough to put on a Spider-Man costume. So it's the middle of the day, and I am doing a training from home today. And so it is a little bit bright, I guess, but this is best. It's also kind of drizzling, so whatever. But I wanted to show you all the beans. Do you see the beans? These are the beans that I did a second succession sowing of, and they are starting to come up the trellis. Yay! And I also want to show you that we have some flowers growing. Right there, we have flowers. So we should have beans coming soon. There's more right there. They are getting a little eaten up, but nowhere near as eaten up as they were getting when it was in summertime before I had to pull them. So pretty excited about that. Those are the beans. These are purple potted pole beans, and these are a bush variety. I can put it on the screen. I don't remember it by name right now, but they are looking good. Very excited about those. And so I wanted to show you, these are the same tomatoes that have been out here since April or May. But we have a lot of new tomatoes just waiting for them to start turning green. And that's kind of happening all in this area. So it doesn't look like much, but it is housing some new tomatoes. We had a pretty big storm yesterday. And so these are all of the peppers that are in pots going up the walkway. And so I picked a lot of them this morning, but there are still some on there. And my first golden Marconi, I took one in the house this morning. But also, we have new flowers on a lot of the pepper plants. So very, very excited about that. The cucumbers are still giving out cucumbers. And I was very worried that they were going to start to taste bitter. And there has been a few that were bitter. And I don't even want to say few, maybe a couple, maybe like 2 or 3 that turned bitter. But the cucumbers are still producing, and I'm so surprised because they're actually like sweet when you taste them. You know, you hear people say like it gives a sweeter taste, or it's a sweeter variety or whatever. And I don't think I've ever tasted a sweet cucumber per se. You know, like a refreshing cucumber, but like when you pop them in your mouth, they actually taste sweet. And I was like super excited. My mom was at my house one day and I was like, taste this cucumber, because it was actually a sweet taste. My daughter's been eating them with salt and pepper quite often. And so pretty excited. They're still producing. I won't be doing a second sowing of those because we are so far, well, so close to fall. My summer vegetables, when they are done at this point, except for the beans. I'm hoping that they continue to grow because I want more beans. I didn't even show y'all this. That's a lemon cucumber. I've gotten a few of them already this year, but I'm hoping for more because they're very delicious. There's one right there. Hopefully it got pollinated. They're going up and down this vine, honestly. Just waiting for them to mature to hopefully give me some more cucumbers. This is another tomato section. It's right up beside the eggplant section, which, my goodness, y'all, look at the eggplant. I told you earlier this year that I had flea beetle and I wasn't doing anything about it. And they look like I didn't do anything about them, but they're still producing. Got flowers down there. And so I harvested maybe like 2 sometime last week. So maybe they're about to pick back up. Although, like I said, I kind of wanted them to slow down because I'm the only one who's eating them and no one else is eating them. And so at a point we had a whole bunch of eggplant that no one was eating. So they ended up going to the chickens. But back to this mess of a tomato section I was telling you about. Yeah, there's still plenty of tomatoes. These are Amish paste. They are very prolific and they grow a very long vine. Like most of this is this one Amish paste plant. But this is one of my slicers, which I'm happy to have. And then there's more tomatoes all down in there. And if you remember, last week I went through and cut the tomato leaves, the things that were dying, and tried to clean them up a little bit with the heat and the rain and everything else, and me not being completely able to be out here every day. They are starting to look the same way. But again, it's the end of the year, and if I'm honest, ready for fall gardening. So over here are the sweet potato vines, and they had started running, and I just kind of pulled them back and put them back into a confined space because I couldn't get to the tomatoes. They were starting to, you know, like come out here as well. So I pulled them all up and moved them to this confined space. I also was watching a video where it said to like put them on top of themselves so that the runner or the vine didn't steal energy from the tubers. I don't know how true that is. I don't really know how that works. This is my first year growing sweet potatoes. If you have any information on that, put it in the comments below, or any information on growing sweet potatoes at all. I mentioned the squash and zucchini bed in my last video, I think. And so these are all new squash and zucchini plants, and I put them in probably 2-3 weeks ago, not exactly sure, but we have some little ones, and I'm hopeful. Let me see, there's one over here too. I'm hopeful that, I don't think that one got pollinated, but I'm hopeful that we get some zucchini and squash out of there. The plants look really good, like the best looking plants I think I've ever had. And I normally grow them in my raised beds. This is a no dig bed, which I also threw the potato vines back in. So there's a lot of organic matter in this bed, and that may be why these are doing so much better than any other zucchini or squash that I've ever tried to grow. So this bed is still looking really good. The basils that I transplanted, those are flowering. But these are the ones that I transplanted from over in the bean bed that I showed you earlier so that I could plant the beans. And they're all still growing really good. Once I removed the sunflowers out of this bed that were more than likely shading the marigolds also started to bloom and blossom, and so they are beautiful in this bed. On that back trellis is cantaloupe and watermelon. My daughter ate one watermelon. It was very small the other day. She said it was sweet though. And so you see a cantaloupe there. You can see a cantaloupe there that should probably be coming ready to eat soon. She loves cantaloupe, not me so much. And there's another one there, hoping that ripes before the season is over. Over here are the tomatoes that we started with when I did my video last week. And so they look pretty terrible. But just like with the tomatoes on the other side, they are still producing. So I'm not gonna pull them because they're still producing, even though they look pretty terrible. Also, they have gotten so tall, so heavy, and they're just like leaning over. Oh, my staking system could probably be a little bit better, and I might try to figure that out for next year because I'm still gonna grow my indeterminates. There's a bug flying. My indeterminates and my determinate tomatoes in bags. And so here we are at the cherry tomatoes. I lost one over there. So if you remember, I started out with 8 tomato plants in this bed. I have 4 now by the end of fall. I don't know what happened because I grew tomatoes right here last year and did not have a problem. And down at the bottom of that bed, the marigolds and the basil is still doing really well. This marigold is so big that it is falling over. Like, marigolds get huge unless you get a dwarf variety, of course, and then they don't get huge, but this is like a very pretty section of the garden still. Over here I planted another succession of beans. These are pole beans, so they should start running up this trellis, and I'll just let all of these beans go until the first frost, until they just don't want to grow anymore. If you remember, I planted Lacinato kale. I had Swiss chard here. This is a kale plant. And then these are 2 zucchini or squash, not exactly sure which one. Either way, you can tell there's something going on in this bed because these were actually planted out, and those over there were planted out before the ones that I just showed you. I do believe this bed is a compaction issue because when I had the mold, I was walking on this bed to put the soil back down. So when it is time to plant for fall, I am gonna go through with a fork and I'm going to kind of loosen this soil up. Same thing with the bed over here, because that's a squash plant. It looks better. Maybe it could even be a zucchini. Either way, it is one of those plants, and it is also not growing nearly as fast as the ones that I have over in the other bed that were planted after them. Same thing, that back there is a squash, and there was one somewhere in here. I don't even really see that anymore. All right, let's talk about the Tromboncino. But the Tromboncino squash has been in since April, early May maybe. I'm not exactly sure, can't remember. But it is starting to look a little sad. This may be watering because I watered very deeply and then it rained. Because we were saying like it's gonna rain and then it wouldn't rain. So I was like, I'm gonna water them. And now I think that's what we got going on there. But I'm just gonna leave it. And we still have plenty of Tromboncino. Everyone keeps telling me how these taste like butternut squash if you let them turn colors. I'm not a butternut squash fan, but I'm going to leave that one and let it turn and at least say that I tried it. But there's more down here. There's one. That one is oddly shaped. There's 2 back there. Let me move that. One right here. So the Tromboncino squash is doing amazing. And if it doesn't give me one more Tromboncino squash this year, it has done its job. It's a quick update on the beets. They are growing a little bit. I pulled a couple this morning because they look bad, like the leaves and things look bad, like something was eating them. But I'm still gonna leave these because they look like they might be trying. I am still in love with this amaranth. I really, really wish I had grown more amaranth this year. I mean, like, it is so beautiful. I mean, like, just beautiful. Even eaten up, even with these leaves eaten up like this is a beautiful plant. So I'm gonna grow more of that next year. Over in the other raised bed, which, like I told you, it mirrors the bed over there, but this one is doing way better than the other one. Not sure why. I think it's all got something to do with compaction. But we have tomatoes growing, got a little bit of blemish or whatever on them, but we have more tomatoes growing. That one is rotting. I'm gonna give it to the chickens. And the carrot bags, I'm super excited about those. Like, this one had really good germination. This one, not a lot of germination just yet, but there's still germination in there, so I'm excited about that. I cannot wait. Of course, I'm gonna have to thin them, I know, but I did more than I think I needed just to make sure I got some germination, and it seemed to work. I did not cover those bags with anything. I just made sure I kept them wet. So like in the past, I've covered them with cardboard, or I've covered them with plastic, or not bags, because it's my first time growing them in bags, but whatever space they were in, I covered them, and then I just checked on them every day. I didn't cover those at all. Like I said, they are under, I said it in another video, they are under a trellis that gets a little bit of shade in the early morning. I think it gets a little bit of shade, and so I was able to get germination in those bags without having the soil covered to keep it moist. So pretty excited about that. Update on the potatoes in the bags. I don't know what we're gonna get out of here. I'm just gonna leave them and let them keep growing, but they're looking a little straggly. One in the back is being eaten by something. You can't see it because of the asparagus, which I cut down a little bit, and so there's still new asparagus growing out of here though, so I don't know. Doesn't seem to bother it like everyone was telling me when I was so worried about cutting them. Back to the potatoes. So we're just gonna leave them, see what happens. So we all know I'm not a quitter, but I'm gonna tell you one thing I didn't do is replant potatoes just yet. I think I'm waiting just to let the temperatures drop. And I think when I checked my chart, I still have time like to put them out in August. So I'm waiting for the temperatures to drop a little bit maybe, and then I might try planting them again, because I'm putting them in bags. I can always bring them inside the house. Also with potatoes, they can stay under the ground or in a bag and outside. The foliage is going to die, not the potato. Although if it's cold and wet enough, they absolutely can rot. So I came outside the garden to show you the raspberries that I have not been picking. So some of them have rotted. I haven't really had a chance, but the raspberries are looking good if I was coming out here to pick them like I was supposed to. And there's some here that of course I missed, but the raspberries are growing pretty good, making me wonder, am I gonna move this or move something else for next year? I'm gonna come out here and pick these though. I bet, oh, did you see how easy that fell off? Bet it's delicious. Bet it's delicious. I'm gonna eat it. I wiped it on my shirt before I turned the camera back on. And it is. And it is. Oh my God. Oh. I don't even eat raspberries, y'all. Tangy but sweet. This is the luffa vine, just hanging down in the front of the bean trellis because it's taking over the other trellis, but it ain't growing no luffa. Okay, so I'm finished with work now, and I am going to finish the garden tour. So the flower bed is looking pretty much like it did last week, except for the snapdragons are absolutely dying out. But these are the pink asters. They're so pretty. And this plant should be much bigger, much stockier, like this huge plant that has, like, you know, like all kind of leaves and pretty flowers. But because this bed was a bit over planted, that struggled quite a bit. But we have zinnias still growing. That one is dying out. There's more asters down here. I absolutely love these flowers. Like I said, the plants were much better last year when they were in an area where they were not fighting with other things. All of the calendula has died. Even the stuff that I replanted, I think it's just too hot. I am still hoping for more buds of things. These are dahlias. Very pretty. This is one back here. I think it was the purple one, so I'm letting it dry because I want the seeds. I always start my dahlias from seeds. I know people use tubers. It just seems like a lot for me to keep the tubers over winter and plant them back out. And I may be able to leave them in the ground here, but I'm not sure about that. So I just always start them from seed. My daughter ordered this Spider-Man costume, and she's literally just been wearing it all day. I don't know why though.
And I'm playing Spider-Man. Why having this on?
She is playing Spider-Man while wearing her Spider-Man costume. And a quick update on the lemon balm that we cut back together. It is growing back. It grows back so quickly. Chamomile, not looking very good, but from what I understand now, chamomile is a cool season plant, so it will probably start growing a bit better once the weather cools down. These basil plants in the back of that bed, in the bed that had the other tomatoes I was showing you earlier and right beside the Tromboncino squash, are large and in charge. And I've been pulling off of these. This is what I use in my basil water when I drink it, my basil tea. I have not yet made pesto this year, and I need to do that too. So as the season ends, I'm going to pick all of this and make some pesto and freeze it. Tomato plants in front of the flower bed look awful. I mean, like, these are probably the worst in the garden right now. And they are still trying to produce and still trying to give me some tomatoes. But these plants look awful. And I think it's because they get like direct sun all day long. This plant right here has not given me one tomato this year. I think it's a beefsteak variety, but not one tomato this year. So that is it for the garden tour for the second week of August. The garden is still producing, not looking its best. That's some of the cucumber leaves. So yeah. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye.